This week's peaceful pattern is super fun, and we are going to be doing 3 different patterns, and we're going to do Pokeroot, Pokeleaf, and Pokerooty. So much fun. But let's start with the basics. Start with the beginning. Hi everyone, it's K-Red, and welcome to my 2025 Peaceful Patterns Weekly Challenge. By creating a new tile each week, together we can learn something new, but most important, find some peace and calm in the chaos of this world. And the way we start is with 2 thin parallel lines. Then we're going to add, I think Maria called it a berry, but a nice big circle on top. And then a little bit, I usually do a very flat C or a little bit of a curved line, but you could also make that as thick as you would like. And it just helps it look like the stem is going into the berry flower. There's that. I'm going to go ahead and let this one go just a little bit off the page because that just seems to be what was comfortable for it. And it's just that simple. The pattern really is just that. Pokeroot. So then we have Pokeleaf or Pokeleaf. I have always called this pattern Pokey, as in Pokemon. I'm not sure if I've actually heard it that way or if that's just what my mind called it. We'll start with the same 2 thin lines, and we're going to do that kind of upside down heart leaf that is so much my favorite. And we'll go ahead and we'll add a dark. Now I'm not going to bother doing any step outs for these. It is a pattern that I am very familiar with and I have used countless times. Now this one, if you notice, I made it just slightly different. This is the way they do it online that I've seen it. I love it when one comes down lower and you get kind of this lopsided. So I went ahead and I did it lopsided on that one, just as a reminder to myself that often I enjoy having that little bit of a variance. In one of the videos I watched, Maria, Rick, and Molly, and each of them do it kind of different. Each of them do these tiles each a little different, so it's kind of fun. So for shading, you can do a little bit of shading if you want right there. I don't think it really needs too much because you have the black circle there. You can do a little bit of shading where the stems will go in and behind each other to kind of show that. But for this, I usually just pick one side of the root or the leaf and do my shading that way. And then I always love it smeared a little bit. I don't really usually like it to be too harsh. I always like it to have a little bit of the shades, the light to dark. So I'm going to guess that if you've done Zentangles at all, you're familiar with this pattern. If you're brand new, I highly recommend you start with these. Draw something today. With these 2 in it, draw a neat botanical, and you will have a lot of fun. So the next one that we're going to do, and is brand new to me, is called Pokerooty. I have never seen it before. Pokerooty is done by ZZT from Taiwan, Damie Tang, and it is super, super cute. So I think what I'd like to do though is give myself a nice little box. Lately, I have been pretty critical during editing, so I thought that I would just go ahead and get the ruler out and give myself grace and a little bit of peace. And I am going to be hopefully keeping these and using these for a very long time. So to have a nice neat box on my card and to have a card I could be proud of is something I really want to do. So that's where I'm going to do it. And the pattern is called Pokerooty. And I am going to do one more thing to give myself a head start. I got myself a pencil here, and by no means is this required, and it probably goes against everything that Zentangle stands for. But just for me, I find that I like this pattern to look neat. And the easiest way for me to make this pattern look neat is for me to give myself just some small little guidelines. I'm not going to worry about being exact, but I am going to want them to be somewhat uniform. And we're going to start by adding a couple. We'll see how many I actually add, whatever feels comfortable. It's probably going to be about 4 little stems, little parallel lines. And whereas up here, I did the width at the bottom and the top to be very comparable, These I get wider at the bottom. I think they look better as we move this pattern forward to have that. So then I'm going to add a comfortable size circle. Which is just like our Pokeroot. And add that little dark indent on there. And that's the first step. Not going to do step outs on this one either because I think it is pretty self-explanatory. I don't think I'm going to need the different colors as to what to do first or second. We're going to go ahead and from about half to 2/3 down on the stem, I'm going to go up and I'm going to come just short of that line. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to come up and come just short of that line. So following it across, I'm going to go ahead and give myself 2 dots. It gives me something to shoot for. If you find you are having problems getting your spacing right or ending up where you want to, start my pin here, bring it straight across, and do a couple dots. Just having an end goal for my mind to see or my eye to see helps. The other thing I like to do is I like for them to work off the page. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself a string over here that obviously won't have the tops because they fall short. We're going to add our circles again. Now, as I've practiced this and worked it up and played with it some over this last few days, every time I go up a row, my circles seem to get larger. Something I've been working on. I don't think it's bad. And depending on your project, you may want to do that. But to try to be true to the pattern, I was going to try today not to try to keep my circles all very similar. And let's give ourselves one more row. So we're going to give ourselves a couple more dots. And about 2/3 way down, we're going to come up. We're going to go across, do a couple more little dots. Those are a little far apart, so I probably won't follow those exactly. We're going to add our top berry or our top circle. And these are a little bit larger, but that's okay. And they look just like that. Do you see what I mean by them all really being basically the same pattern? Pokeleaf has a different shape on it, so it's slightly different. But Pokeroot and Pokeroot, Pokerooty and Pokeroot, woo. So Pokeroot and Pokerooty are really the same design, but when you add this change to it, it gives it such great dimension. So the way I'm going to shade it is pretty much the way she shaded it on the website. Is I'm just going to add my graphite to the bottom of each row. Now I'm not going to add any down here because the bottom of this row would be off outside that square. So I'm not going to worry about it there. I'm going to go ahead and pick a skinnier blending tool because I really don't want it to get up into the Pokeball on top. And if you had a child who loved Pokemon like mine, these will always be Pokeballs. It will always be very difficult for me to call it Pokeroot or anything like that, because in my mind it's always going to be a Pokeball. That's probably a little bit more of a blend that I would normally do. I like to have it come up just a little bit behind the ball on top, so it's not just on the bottom. And we'll just add just a faint down at the bottom. And that's it. There we go. That is our 3 patterns this week. They couldn't be easier, they couldn't be cuter, and they couldn't be more perfect for your next project. So the patterns we have today are Pokeroot and Pokeleaf, and those are Zentangle Originals. But we also have Pokerooty, which I totally just misspelt. I am so sorry about that. I started the Rooty too soon. And that is by Damie Tang, who is a CZT. And this pattern, just like all the others, but especially this one, because I had never seen that before, is from tanglepatterns.com. We'll get some white out and we'll take care of that later. So there we have it. Pokeroot, Pokeleaf, Pokerooty. Too much fun. As always, we will poke a little hole on the top. Hopefully it won't go too much into the Pokeroot. Nah, it's all right. So there we go. I hope your week is a good one. Thank you for being with me. Please hit the like and subscribe button. It really does my new channel a lot of good. And I shall see you all on the next one. Be safe.